بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين نبينا مصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه الطاهرين الظاهرين وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I welcome you back to episode 12 in our series The Golden Keys. Every episode, inshallah, we give you one key to unlock a door to Tajweed, thus allowing us to understand and then implement the laws of Tajweed while reciting Surah Al Fatiha as well as juzz. Our key for the day, inshallah, is Al-Madd Al-Arid Lis-Sukun, the mad of the temporary sukun. What is the mad of the temporary sukun? Dr. Muhammad Fuad Abdul Majeed states, وهو أن يقع سكون عارض للوقف بعد حرف المد واللين أو بعد حرف اللين وحده. مثال للمد واللين نحو العالمين بالعباد والمفلحون. If we find after the letter of mad, we have to place a temporary sukun. For example, if we look at the word Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. When stopping on Al-Alameen, we place a temporary sukun due to the fact that we are stopping. Remember, the ruling states, when stopping, we do not read the last harakah. So this, however, is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. However, when we stop, we place a temporary sukun. He says, ويدخل أيضا في التسمية ما إذا كان الساكن العارض وقع في همز بعد حرف. For example, بما شاء ينهون عن السوء ولا المسيء. These are also where we're placing a temporary sukun on the hamza. So there are certain rulings regarding them. You'll find that we have different amounts or lengths to pull this mad. The first one is the mad arid al-sukun mutlaq. This is when you find the temporary sukun after the harf mad مسبوق بهمزة غير مسبوق بهمزة. It is not preceded by a hamza. For example, Al-Rahim, Al-Ghafur, Al-Alamin. In this case, we are allowed to pull this mad 2, 4 or 6. All three of these lengths are permissible. For example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, 2 vowel counts. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, 4 vowel counts. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, 6 vowel counts. They are all permissible. However, when starting off a recitation with 1, 2 or 4 or 6, we continue throughout the recitation with the same length throughout, inshallah. Our next one is, for example, we find the sukun after the letter of leen, the sifa, the quality of leen. وَآمَنَهُم مِّنْ خَوْفٍ or فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. In this case as well, we are allowed to pull this mad 2 or 4 or 6. The next is البدل العارض للسكون أن يقع السكون بعد حرف مد مسبوق بهمز في كلمة واحدة. When we find the sukun after a mad badal, for example, and the mad badal we will address inshallah in another episode, but just briefly, this is when the letter hamza is preceding the letter of mad. So we state Israel or Israel, Israel. When stopping, we place a temporary sukun. This allows us to pull this mad 2 or 4 or 6. Our next one is al-muttasil al-aridu lis-sukun. This is the mad muttasil that we place a temporary sukun on. In this case, we are also allowed to pull this mad 3 different cases. But remember, in our previous lesson, we discussed the mad al-muttasil and we said its hukum is wujub. It is compulsory to extend this mad 4 vowel counts or 5 vowel counts, but more than the mad al-tabi'i or the natural mad. So in this case, you are allowed to pull this mad when stopping. We are never allowed to say as-sama. Yes, there are narrations, but how we are reading from Imam Hafs from the Shaatibiyyah, we state as-sama. So we can pull this mad when stopping 4 or 5. And finally, we are allowed to pull this mad 6 as well. So we can say as-sama, 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 as-su, as-su, as-su. We are allowed to pull this mad 4, 5 or 6. With the other mudud, we were allowed to pull 2, 4 and 6. In this case, we are not allowed to pull this mad, only 2 vowel counts. Our next one is the aridun lis-sukuni fi ha at-ta'nith. When we place a temporary sukun on the ha at-ta'nith following the mad. For example, as-salah, as well as az-zakah, as well as at-tawrah. In this case, we can pull this mad also 2, 4 or 6. Our next one is when we find with the ha al-damir. The ha al-damir is the ha pointing to him. So we can say aqaluh and fi. In this case, we are also allowed to pull this mad 2 as well as 4 as well as 6. The next one is when we find this in a mad lazim. For example, صَوَافَّ فَإِذَا. We are placing a sukun on it. However, in this case, we are only allowed to pull this mad 6 vowel counts. And if we find, for example, al-haqqa, that has no mad, we are not allowed to pull this mad at all. So what we have to understand is that we have to pull this mad, for example, when it is found, the sukun is found after the letter of mad, we are allowed to pull this mad 2, 4 and 6. However, in the case of al-mad al-muttasil, we cannot pull 2, but we are allowed to pull 4, 5 or 6. We give some examples. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. We are allowed to pull 2, 4 or 6. Inshallah, we will now read Surah Al Kafirun and we will look out for this ruling. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. صدق الله العظيم. So we find in the first verse, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. We can read الْكَافِرُونَ الْكَافِرُونَ الْكَافِرُونَ. 2 or 4 or 6. لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ وَلِيَ دِينِ وَلِيَ دِينِ. We trust inshallah that this has been beneficial. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.